Welcome back to Basic Bananas Radio, where we share tried and tested ways to grow your brand and get more customers. Everything from the latest in marketing and branding, right through to growing your team and creating an irresistible culture.
Hi, and welcome back. I am so excited for this episode because I'm talking to Brendan Lee, who is one of our Freedom Bunch members and a really smart marketer. And what he specializes in is conversions, the thing that most businesses want more of. And in this episode, we're discussing a few different strategies on how you can get more out of your marketing by focusing on your conversion. So really awesome, insightful chat. Let's jump in. Hey, Brendan. So good to have you here today. I can't wait for this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
So we met at one of our Freedom Bunch conferences, retreats on the Gold Coast, and I really appreciated your input that you had for our members and your insights, and you had some really great ideas for people. And so we started chatting more, and obviously you are also in marketing and you specialize in conversion,
Yeah.
the conversion aspect. How did you end up getting into marketing? And also, if you want to share a bit about Be Digital,
Yeah.
your business. Yeah,
So
how did
long,
you
jour-
yeah.
long journey. Even marketing was never sort of what I expected to be doing, to be honest. So, if we go all the way, a long way ago now, over 20 years ago, back into high school, I was always just super numbers driven. So, like, I was good at math and economics and all that sort of stuff. And so everybody just, it seemed predestined that I would go down that path and do commerce and then maybe into banking or something like that. But for whatever reason, I caught the bug for communication, and I ended up doing a communications degree, which was specializing in PR in university. So that was my degree. And then from there, I have practiced 0 days of public relations. It was, not that I didn't enjoy it. I just knew that it was not the right industry for me. Predominantly because so the course, I actually had a lot of friends in the course, but it was honestly, it was 98% female. So I just always felt like the black sheep anyway. And so, but what was great is it taught me the basics of communication, which I think, really anchored well into marketing. And so that's kind of why I've always, from a career standpoint, I've always worked in marketing. But being that long ago when I started out, marketing was trade shows, catalogs, all the sort of old school type of stuff. And so I'm, really appreciative looking back that I've had that experience because I think it keeps me a lot more grounded. So now, whilst I do predominantly do a lot of digital stuff because it tends to be the most cost effective or the most efficient way to reach people, it's good to have that grounding to remember that at the end of the day, it's a human making a decision at the end of this click or at the end of this screen or the end of this digital channel that we're trying to use. So yeah, I started out in that type of traditional marketing. I started Be Digital Group purely on accident almost. I had no intention to start my own company or an agency and a team. I just had an opportunity to consult for a couple of people. And then I just sort of took it from there and iterated and it was like, oh, actually other people that I've worked with before appreciate my insights and would like me to consult. And then that became bigger and bigger and had to grow a team. And so we did all of that. At the time, what I was doing, this was back in 2011, and I still remember the company I was working for saying to them, "Hey, I muck around on this thing called Facebook with my friends. Like, do you mind if I try using it for marketing purposes?" And they were like, "It's your budget, Brendan. Do whatever you want." So started mucking around with it, and it was wildly successful. I was dealing in the photography industry at the time, so it was the perfect medium because the pictures were great, so everyone would engage. And so yeah, that was where I started. It was all around social. How do we turn something that was seen as purely non-business? How do we connect it to a business without it being unseemly? So I did that for a very long time. But that space got crowded with some really good operators, I think, who've come in. A lot of people doing that work, and so we pivoted a little bit and said, well, what is it that our clients most appreciate? It's not so much that we make good content up front. It's the fact that we know how to stitch that great content through to their business and through to some sort of a actual business objective or some sort of conversion. So that is the iteration that we're in today, and that's what I love is how do I talk to you about your business and how do we put dollars back in your business bank account rather than doing the fun, front end stuff.
Yeah, and I can't wait to delve deeper into that also today and giving our listeners some real key insights and takeaways. The interesting thing about your journey is that PR is all about storytelling. And
Mm.
you've also found that when you run any kind of marketing campaigns, digital campaigns, the better you are at storytelling, the more efficient your campaigns.
Absolutely. 1,000%. I think that is what's lost now. There are so many
Mm.
strong, powerful tools available in marketing, especially in the digital space, that people just get stuck either chasing some new shiny object and going, oh, if I just pay for this software, it'll do everything for me. Or, oh, AI is the rage at the moment. Oh, I'll just tell AI to write me a campaign. And I just think what gets lost is, well, what's the actual core or what's the spine of what you're trying to sell? Like, what's the narrative behind? Because it's narrative that's going to make that connection at the end of the day. And if you don't get that right, it's just a lot of noise. Like you're just making noise more efficiently with a with a software.
Yeah, I loved what he said. It's the narrative that then creates the connection. I wonder, and I'm seeing the same thing, and it's just, it's quite disheartening to see how many businesses are falling down the lazy AI trap and don't lose that connection that they could have. So I'm just wondering if you have any practical
Mm,
ideas for our listeners. How, someone is sitting there going like, well, I don't know my narrative. Like, what do I, let's say I sell socks
yeah.
or I'm a consultant, like what, I don't know. It's not that exciting.
Yeah.
What do I do? Have you got some thoughts, insights for that?
Yeah, the place that I start with 99.9% of all of our clients is I want them to get really clear on who whose problem are they solving. I think, people get great products and they get so or services and they get so caught up in this is what's great about it and then they just assume that one size fits all. Whereas I'm like, no, actually, if you flip it on its head and you only think about the person whose problem you're solving, you'll find that instead of talking about 10 different things about what you do, you should probably only talk about two, because only two of them are relevant to what this person actually has as a problem that you can help solve. So that's usually the biggest thing that I flip on its head with a lot of people. And again, when it comes to AI, one of my pieces of advice, I've sort of spun this. My dad used to say this to me a lot when I was growing up, probably because I was not paying attention. And he would say, Brendan, two ears, one mouth. You should be listening twice as much as you're talking. And I think it's the same with AI. Like I almost say, don't just ask it to output something. You should actually do twice as much reflecting. Like ask it questions twice as much as you're asking for an output.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's how you get to the goal is actually not these, and I say this all the time, there are people out there that teach you to use all these mega long prompts that give you,
Mm,
an article, then 10 posts, then a video. And no, it's not. You need to first get to the goal, the narrative, the story, the angle. And you do that, as you say, by reflecting back and having a chat and going, well, I don't know about this. This is a bit cheesy. What about this? Until you get to the really good story.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, cheesy. How many times have I said to my ChatGPT that that's a bit cheesy? I say that all the
ChatGPT is
time.
very cheesy. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, Chatty or Charlie or however you want to
Mm.
call her or him, them is very, very cheesy. Yeah. And yeah, some of the languages you can tell straight away. So it's up to us to make sure we don't get too cheesy. And then let's talk about so it's about coming up with a really good angle. And something else that you do, that we do, that I'm a big fan of is, let's say Charlie and I, ChatGPT have three really good storylines. We're like, yeah, this could be cool, this could be cool, this could be cool. Now, the way to test this is by using conversion marketing meta ads, for example, put all the three
Hmm.
angles out there and see which one resonates
Yeah,
best. Is that something that you
absolutely.
would do? Yeah.
Big time, big time. So one of I get asked all the time, clients will say to me, well, you're the marketer, so you'll know best. And I'm the first one to say, actually,
No.
no, I,
Yeah.
I definitely don't know.
Yeah.
And anyone who tells you they do is kidding themselves.
Mhm.
What we can do is let the data tell you what's going to do. So the only important thing I think is sometimes people, confuse A/B testing for just going, well, I'll just throw two things out there and see which one does better. I would have a slight tweak on that and say, well, you need to actually strategically know what you're testing for. Like, there's no point just throwing wildly two different things out there because if one is better, but you're not sure why or what you tested against, then you're still kind of just guessing. Whereas if you can be like, you know what, this headline is creating more urgency, or this headline is pushing on a problem, whereas this headline is selling the aspiration of something. Then at least you can see, okay, great. I know which one my audience that I've targeted is going to respond better to.
Yeah, I love that. And we've actually done that recently. And same as you, I don't know. I don't and I've been in this industry, we've run Basic Bananas. I've been in the industry for many years before in
Mm.
advertising and Basic Bananas for 15, 16 years. So I should kind of know, right? I should know my audience. I don't. And
Yeah.
it's funny because we are doing a lot of AI marketing sessions and I said, hey, let's test the angle. So we took three angles. One was, as you say, a headline that was more focused on the aspiration. And the aspiration
Mm.
was use AI so that you can do stuff while you sleep. Another angle was more focused on fear, which is usually the one that people
Mm.
resonate with. The fear was, hey, AI is killing your
Mhm.
brand. And Kevin and I
Mm.
both said the one with fear is probably going to do really well. The one that
Yep.
is doing really well is the aspirational one. So we were wrong. We're both
Oh,
been
great. I
in
like hearing
marketing
that.
for, yeah.
Yes.
So I was proven wrong again and again and again. But if we don't do these tests and strategically, like you say, we just, our marketing is not as efficient as
Mm.
doing these tests.
Absolutely. Yeah. If
Yeah.
you threw like a completely different video and different copy at it as well, you'd be like, well, I don't actually know which part
Yeah.
of this they liked better.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's dig a little bit deeper into conversion marketing. You're all about conversions.
Yeah.
Where can maybe explain a little bit what that even
Yeah.
is to our
Absolutely.
listeners, and then what they need to think about, maybe something they can do, review,
Yeah. Yeah.
reflect on.
So the 5 second pitch that I always give everyone is I'm focused on everything after the click. I think too many people think that their job is done once somebody gets to their website. Oh, great, you've seen my website, job done. I'm like, well, no, there's generally going to be 5 to 6 more steps before anybody parts with money on onto your business anyway. So when I talk about conversion marketing, it starts with how do I qualify the person that I would classify as a lead. And so the two words here are qualify and lead. Because too many times you can run campaigns and somebody can be like, oh, here's all these leads. The quality of that lead can vary wildly, or the accuracy, I guess, or the alignment of that lead can vary wildly. And so what I like to focus on is how do we, again, test and learn that quality of the lead? How do we improve it moving forward? And maybe that is tweaking your campaign, or maybe it's downstream post your campaign. It's like, great, I've got this lead and that it felt like this lead wasn't aligned. That doesn't mean that's a bad lead. It might just need some further qualifying or some further nurturing. So that's usually where we step in. So maybe you've grabbed somebody's attention. Maybe it was a fear campaign and somebody went, oh gosh, yes, I'm worried about that. And then they give you the details. But having somebody be fearful of something is a long way away from them saying, here's my money. And so what we want to do is say, okay, well, what other steps is this person going to need to take to move from fear to I'm ready to transact? I like to use a lot of dating terminology as well because I think it's relatable for everybody. It's kind of
Mm.
like at the early stages, it can be sort of like just flirting or first date. And that's very, very far away from, going down on one knee and proposing to somebody. So it's like, what are all the things in between that we need to do? Maybe it's a get to know you process so that you trust my business better. Maybe it's education so that you understand my business better. Or maybe it's a trial so that you feel more comfortable that you've de-risked it. So, there's no one size fits all, but when I talk about conversion marketing, it's about how do we progress somebody through all of these things and have a very thoughtful way of doing it based on who the persona is coming through.
So it's basically the process between first date to getting married in a business sense. So what
Yeah.
happens between, because usually what a lot of businesses do is first date and boom, they're proposing and everyone says no.
Yeah. Yep.
So what you do is you help them figure out, hey, how can you get them a little bit warmer, 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 to
Yeah.
then say yes to working with you, to buying.
Absolutely. It's about popping the question at the right time. And look, and for some businesses, maybe it is about popping the question right away, right? Maybe if it's a low price product, maybe that's the
Mm.
case, or if it's an excitement built thing, like capture them when the excitement's there. And that happens in real life too, right? Like some people, it's
Mm.
better off popping the question early while everybody's still really excited.
Oh,
Um,
that's your advice. That's definitely not my advice. But hey, luckily we're both not in the relationship giving
yes.
advice.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I was going to say, I'm only applying this based on what I roughly know. I've long been out of that game, so I could be completely off anyway. But yeah, certainly when it comes to business, the one thing that I don't like is if anybody pre-prescribes what those stages need to look like. I don't want anybody to ever say, okay, well then the first thing needs to be a white paper download, and then the next thing needs to be a book a
Mm.
call, and then the next thing needs to be have a meeting or start a trial. None of these are wrong, but also none of them are right because it completely depends on your customer and also what your product is, and the problem you're solving.
Yeah. Do you have a practical example or a case study, either somebody, a famous business that you have been watching or a brand or somebody that you've
Yeah,
worked with without naming them? What have they done to go from first
absolutely.
stage to?
So I do a lot of work with actually real estate and property developers. And previously their entire industry, they almost didn't need to sell. It was like, especially in Sydney, if anyone's familiar with
Mm.
Sydney, you build something and someone will buy it because property
Mm.
is through the roof here. But
Mhm.
that's the tide's turned a little bit. It's slowed down a little bit. And for that exact reason, I'm doing a lot of good work with real estate agents and property developers. Now, their whole process before was very simple. Throw something on realestate.com, 100 people will come to look at it and you'll sell it to one of them. So that was it. And so at some point that process started to dry up for some people and they were like, oh my gosh, like how do we sell this property now? Like that's all we've ever known. So for one particular person, like their business, they did property. It was actually in regionals outside of Sydney, and they were saying to me, "Geez, Brendan, I'm really struggling to sell this." And I said, "Well, let's have a look at what you've been doing." And it was the same sort of stuff. It was, here's a render of a property that hasn't been built yet. It's in regional New South Wales. And it's 4 bedrooms, there's 2 bathrooms, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, you're kind of doing the same thing everybody else does as a mistake, which is you're selling the product, you're not selling the person. And so I was like, who do you want to buy this? Is it somebody who wants to move to Dubbo? Is it an investor? And they were like, oh, we kind of want both of those. And I was like, okay, well, this ad speaks to neither of them. If I'm going to move there, you're actually going to need to sell me on Dubbo, the city. And if I'm investing, I don't want to know any of this. I don't really care. I just want to know the numbers. So we immediately broke out into two separate campaigns and said, okay, well, the types of messaging and information we're going to give investors is really metrics driven. We're going to talk about the economy and how it's going to grow in the area, that type of thing. And then on the other side of it, we're going to sell the lifestyle. Because the house is a given, right? Everybody's going to assume it's a brand new house, going to be beautiful. But I need to tell you what the community's like and what the future looks like, schools, that type of thing, if we're targeting families. So as we did that and how it plays out downstream is again, the next steps after they see the first ad also need to be different. So for an investor, I was like, look, a lot of your investors are probably going to be time poor. They might not want to get on the phone with you because they've got other investment properties and they're busy at work or whatever. So I go, these are the types of people that maybe need to get warmed up with, here's some further numbers, or do you need to talk to your accountant? We can set up a meeting, that type of thing. Whereas for the buyers who are going to live there and be owner occupied, I was like, you actually need to create some excitement. So they probably need, what we ended up doing was inviting them to an event. So the goal wasn't sell the property. That no one was going to pick up the phone and say, I saw a Facebook ad. Let me spend 800 grand. But we were like, let's get them to an event so that they're going to see other people in the room who are excited by this and other people, and you can sell the community in person in a feeling. So you can see how those two streams are really, really different. Now, because of that, now this is because properties, obviously the revenue numbers are huge when they sell properties, but the real stat is we were 830 times better than their previous conversion. Um, all that took was to just start selling a couple of handfuls of properties. But to me, that's my favorite example of, you've got to focus on the person and solving that person's either aspiration or problem.
Yeah. So I wonder, such a great example. And the real estate industry, it's one of these industries that I really wish I could work with all of them and just make their marketing unsuck because most of their marketing is just horrible, as you know. So I'm glad that you
Completely.
get to help some of them. Now, if as a maybe as an activity, what do you think about giving our listeners a bit of an activity where maybe you
Mm.
decide, but maybe they get to review their customer journey,
Mm.
get a part, first pick the persona. What do you think? Let's give a little challenge. What do you think?
Absolutely. I love that. So the one thing I would say is two challenges I can think of. One is your own website homepage. Uh, if you, not even homepage, pick any of your landing pages. But then a lot of businesses don't have specific landing pages. So I'm going to say it might be your homepage. Look at the first fold before you ever scroll and send it to somebody who knows very little about your business. If they can't tell you who you're looking to solve a problem for straight away, then you need to review your headline, your lead magnet offer, or your call to action. That's a really, really simple one that honestly, a lot of websites I look at need to have a think about that. And then the second one is I would say, uh, and this is a big one for a lot of clients that I deal with, question whether you actually need more leads or you need better conversion of your existing leads. So some businesses are actually really rich with contacts already. Real estate is a prime one. Like I'm always
Mm.
saying, why do you need more leads? Like you've probably got 100 people who didn't buy the last house that you should talk to first. But they don't have any systems in place. So then they just do another open house and they probably see the same 100 people come through. And I'm like, you didn't need to really do that open house. You've got all of those people on your contact database already. So I would say, think about whether lead acquisition is something that is the most helpful for your business or whether it's actually lead conversion.
Such a good challenge. I love that. So website, give it to someone who doesn't know too much about you. Ask them, hey,
Hmm.
who do I work with and what do I do? I think those are
Hmm.
really good questions. And secondly, ask yourself whether you need more leads or if you need to convert more leads. Yeah.
Yeah, those are two different things.
Something that you also specialize in, and we're going to run a masterclass in September on September the 10th, and we'll put the link in the show notes too, is lead magnets, because lead magnets can really make or break a business and they can completely transform your business if you have good lead magnets. Do you want to
Mm.
share before we wrap up a little bit about lead magnets in the time that
Yeah,
we have?
yeah, absolutely. I think, for a very long time when it first, I still remember when it exploded on the scene and everyone was offering, reports and white papers. And I
Mm,
think because I was, information hungry at the time, I was like, yeah, this is great. Here, have my email address, no problem, da, da, da. But I think it became very copycat and everyone just went, well, that's working for them. So I'll do the exact same thing. One of the things that I challenge and what we'll work through in the workshop is actually how to design the right style of lead magnet to match the style of person that you're trying to attract. So just as a really basic example, I'm probably in a different phase of my life now. I probably had more time back then to read a white paper, for instance, and I would absorb all the information. I'm at a stage now where if you're offering a white paper, I'd be like,
mm.
I don't have time to read 20. It might be the 20 best pages I've ever read in my life, but I'll never get to it. I'll download it. It'll sit on my desktop. And then after 4 weeks, I'll be like, what was this again? Delete.
Yeah.
So for me, for instance, it might be more helpful if you went, hey, you know what? Top 10 tips, or here's a checklist, or, maybe here's a calculator. There's so many different formats. But when somebody wants to say, what's the best format? I'm like, well, there's no best. You just got to align what part of the customer journey it's in and then also, who it is that you're trying to target. So that's some of the stuff that we're going to cover in this
Yeah.
class.
I can't wait because I agree, and I see so many really bad lead magnets that I feel like, oh, if only they had a good lead magnet on their website, all the money and the time that they spend on getting people to that website, they would get so much more out of it. So I'm
Mm.
really pumped for this session because I think it could really transform a business that
I hope
attends.
so.
Yeah.
That is the goal.
Yeah, so we'll pop the link in the show notes. One kind of last question, and then we'll see if there's anything that I missed. Because I know we're all obsessed. Well, you and I and my team here are obsessed with AI, marketing AI. Do you have any favorite other than ChatGPT? Do you have any other favorite AI sidekick that you would like to share?
That's a good question. I think chat drives a lot of what I do because I'm using it mostly for reflection. And I guess what I would say is whichever one you use, just commit to it and really personalize it, I guess. So I'm just so far down this chat rabbit hole where I've got so many different GPTs that that I've created that focus on different things. I've got all these little folders for each of my different subject matters or clients, or so it's so personalized now. That's probably my tip. Whatever tool you're going to use, do as much as you can to personalize it, because I think a powerful tool that is given no direction is going to cause more harm than it is going to help.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So true. And I reckon in the future, longer term, they're all going to merge into one of the big ones anyway. So if you just get really good at exactly what you said, personalizing and using, let's say, ChatGPT, Claude, or any of the ones that you like, you'll be ahead.
Yeah, because it'll end up being no different to, I guess, what you see with software now, right? Like, does it really matter if you're on Microsoft or Google? Does it really matter if you're on Salesforce or HubSpot? They're kind of, if you know the theory behind one, you'll know how to master the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share, or any final words?
I'd probably just say that everybody thinks about marketing as either sort of a cost against the business, or they think of it as this magic sort of I'll gamble almost. Like, if I throw some money here, I'm going to hope something comes back. One of my biggest things is I'd like to say this to people: let's ROI reverse engineer it. Let's figure out what it is you're trying to achieve, what that is actually worth to you in profit. And then we can pretty cleverly work out the stages backwards as to what's a realistic cost for that acquisition. And I would say at least 20% of the time, I end up not starting any campaigns with people, because I'll turn around and be like, there's no way for that profit, there's no way I can get you that customer. So change what you're offering, make it something that's more profitable, or do a different campaign. But the way you want to do it, you're going to lose money.
So smart, because, you are somebody who is so honest that rather than throwing, there's an expression in English, I think, throwing the good money after the bad money, or the bad money after the good money, or something like that.
Yes.
Rather than throwing more money down the hole of something that is not going to convert, you actually have an ability to go, hey, I think strategically we need to change something, whether that's your offering, your lead magnet, the way you convert people, which is basically filling the gaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I'm a bit selfish, because for me, it's like it takes a lot of effort to start a relationship with somebody and understand their business. So if I'm going to start, I need to know it's going to work. Otherwise, what are we doing? Like, we're just marching towards a divorce.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really, really expensive normally. Now, now, where can people connect with you? Do you have a LinkedIn profile you would love for people to connect with?
Absolutely. You can definitely find me on LinkedIn. My sort of shorthand URL is BDAN Lee. So Bedan Lee, just short for Brendan Lee. So I'm on LinkedIn all the time. You can definitely find me there. Otherwise, if you actually just type into your web browser conversions.today, that'll take you to our company website, but to a page where I've actually just got a whole bunch of tools, things that people ask us for all the time, ways to design a content calendar quickly, or approaches to, sort of how we do our design strategy. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there that people can download and get on their way. One of my big things is I don't like to, if somebody's not right, I don't never think anybody's not right for us as an agency. It's more just they might not be at the right timing or the right phase of their journey. So if we can help them sort of get to where they need to be, then we'd love to help as many people as we can.
Awesome. And this is the perfect example of a great lead magnet in action. Conversions.today is your lead magnet, and it's useful. It's something that is going to help them. And because it's going to help them, they're going to be more likely to want to work with you down the track. So perfectly walking the talk here. And we'll have more of a deeper, insightful conversation and a lesson in our masterclass on the 10th of September. I'll pop that in the show notes for anyone who would love to get some hands-on support with their lead magnet. So can't wait. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you.
To get more from Basic Bananas and to learn new ways to grow your business with clever marketing, visit basicbananas.com.